Meantime, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro says he has tested positive for COVID-19. Bolsonaro has been tested several times in recent weeks, and he says he began feeling unwell on Sunday, and so he started taking hydroxychloroquine. That's the same unproven and potentially dangerous medication that U.S. President Donald Trump took in an apparent attempt to ward off the virus. Brazil is one of the countries leading the world in the surge in new cases, and like Trump, Bolsonaro has downplayed the impact of the virus. For more, let's bring in Ryan Heath. He's a senior editor at Politico and author of their Global Translations newsletter. He joins me now from Brooklyn. Ryan, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
So tell us a bit more about Bolsonaro testing positive. Was this sort of a given because of the way he was treating the virus and still appearing in public, not necessarily wearing a mask, continuing to interact with the population?
It really was a matter of time, and he wasn't just interacting with groups. He was interacting in international settings, in large social settings, in political gatherings. He really wasn't doing anything to censor his behavior at all. So it comes as no surprise that he's got this result. What we know is that he had a meal with the American ambassador in celebration of July 4, so just a couple of days before he started feeling unwell. And what that tells us is that he's much more likely to have spread the virus to others at that event rather than receive the virus or contracted the virus at that event. But we've got a lot that we still need to learn about the situation. You remember that Boris Johnson, the UK Prime Minister, he battled on for a week doing his job on Zoom calls and viral means before he was forced to go into hospital. So Bolsonaro says he's feeling fine, but we don't know that that's the end of the story.
Yeah. Meantime, authorities in India are really battling right now. It is the third worst hit country. Why are cases surging there?
Well, if you look at the fundamentals of India, you've got a population of 1.3 billion, so large numbers were always going to rack up at some point there. That's why the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, decided to lock down very severely from March onwards. But you also have very highly vulnerable populations. So tens of millions literally doing a daily survival race to keep functioning in India, 100 million who've been made unemployed by the lockdowns, and hundreds of millions of people who either lack the sort of social safety net that we take for granted in Canada and the United States, or they can't socially distance because they live in extremely dense populations. Plus, you don't really have a lot of ICU beds for the people who are severely ill. So if it gets on the loose in India, this is the sort of community that it's going to tear through, and that's what we're in the beginning stages of now.
I only have 30 seconds left, Ryan. I know you're in Brooklyn in New York. That state managed to flatten the curve, but now we're seeing spikes in Florida, Texas, Arizona. What would you say if you could warn them what's to come?
Young people really have to take this seriously. It's about what you might be doing to your parents and grandparents. It's not about how this virus affects you. And you can wear a mask and do most of the things that you would normally do in your normal life, but please just do it with a mask, because what we know from around the world is that you only beat this when you stay physically apart or where you wear a mask.
Ryan Heath is a senior editor at Politico and author of their Global Translations newsletter. I do appreciate your time, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.